The grand hall of the Galactic Council was full of light and celebration. Thousands of leaders from across the stars stood proudly under the shining dome. Flags of many alien worlds waved in the air. Everyone was smiling except the humans' ambassador. Alina Ward stood tall in her black uniform. Her face looked calm, but her eyes told a different story. She watched the alien leaders shake hands and make promises. Behind her stood two other human diplomats, quiet and still. They didn't smile. A voice echoed through the hall. Today, we welcome a new era. The Treaty of Unity will bring peace to all species. The crowd clapped. Cheers filled the air. But deep in Elena's pocket, her hidden device buzzed silently. She didn't look down. She just pressed a button with her thumb. A message appeared on secret Earth channels. The treaty is a trap. Human colonies found, tortured, killed. No more peace. No more lies. Far away, deep in space, a human stealth ship turned away from its hiding place near an alien research station. Inside it, Commander Rhea looked at the images they had just collected. Human prisoners, dead bodies, secret labs. The aliens had promised peace, but behind the scenes, they were using humans. For experiments, Rhea clenched her fist. So this is peace, she whispered. They lied. Back at the council hall, Alina was still smiling politely. She looked around the chamber. The leaders of the Gellery, the Trinkle, and the Hyvarn Empire were all there. These were the same species that once went to war with Earth. Now, they sat on golden chairs and raised their hands in unity. But Earth had not forgotten. 50 years ago, the war almost destroyed humanity. Earth had lost cities. Billions died. The aliens offered peace. Earth accepted, but only with strict conditions. The Treaty of Unity was supposed to protect everyone, but now the truth was clear. The treaty was a lie. Alina spoke into her mic calmly. Her voice broadcasted across the chamber. On behalf of Earth and its colonies, we thank the Council for this honor. May our future be bright.
Ow.
Everyone clapped. Again, but her final words were only for human ears, sent through a private channel. Begin Shadow Protocol. Prepare the fleets. In a hidden command center, under the surface of Mars, red lights flashed. Generals who had waited in silence for years stood up. Old warships, long thought to be scrapped, began to power on. Earth had never disarmed, only pretended. The camera drones flew through the grand hall, showing the joy and unity of the galaxy. News channels around the stars called it the greatest day in history. But somewhere in the dark, the truth was growing louder. In a quiet hallway near the council's core, human diplomat opened a small bag. Inside was a sleek black gun. He checked the charge, then hid it inside his coat. Earth was going to war. Again. But this time, they wouldn't fight for territory or power. They would fight because they had trusted, been betrayed. As the celebration ended, the human team left the hall without speaking to anyone. Alina looked up at the stars. They think we are weak, she said to her aide. They will learn, the aide replied. Far above, a small black drone flew past a council ship. It was shaped like a piece of space junk. No one noticed it, that it was sending data maps, enemy fleet positions, energy signals back to Earth. In a hidden lab, deep underground, President Hale of Earth watched the screens. Images of tortured humans, screaming children, bodies floating in dark cages. He said just one word. Enough. Then he gave the final order. Activate Ghost Fleet. No more negotiations. On the Moon Titan, ships buried under ice began to rise. On Pluto, cannons hidden. In mining rigs turned toward the stars. From secret bases on Mars, thousands of soldiers in black armor moved out. Their mission was clear. Find the betrayers. End the council. Save every last human. Back at the council hall, the celebration continued. Aliens danced. Wine flowed. Music played. They thought the future was safe, but the humans had already walked away. They weren't celebrating. They were loading their guns, long before the treaty. The galaxy was at war. Planets burned. Ships exploded in orbit. Billions died. Among all the chaos, humans refused to kneel. The council had power. It had numbers. But humanity had something else: willpower. Even when Earth's cities were turned to ash, even when they had no allies, humans fought back. The war lasted 20 years. In the end, both sides were tired. The Council offered peace. Humanity accepted, but not because they trusted anyone. They accepted to survive, to prepare. On Earth, a hidden meeting took place under the Arctic ice. 10 men and women, all dressed in black military uniforms, sat in a circle around a glowing table. President Hale stood in the center. "We have signed the treaty," he said, "but we will never trust them. From this day, Earth follows to paths one they can see, and one they cannot." From that moment, a secret plan began. Project Phantom. While Earth showed peace on the outside, it built shadow fleets on the inside. Ships were hidden inside hollow moons. Troops were trained in underground bases. New weapons were tested on uninhabited planets. AI-controlled war drones were hidden in the rings of Saturn. Humanity smiled at the galaxy, but held knives behind its back. Now, 50 years later, the lie is exposed. The Treaty of Unity is a trap. Human colonies that were supposed to be free were taken. The Council said those colonies were lost. But they weren't. They were stolen, used for experiments, tortured, erased, and humanity finally knows. Captain Rhea stood on the bridge of her ship, the HSS Black Echo. Her face was cold. Her crew was silent. They had just returned from a secret mission. What they saw in the alien research facility would haunt them forever. Rows of cages, human bodies with implants, children wired to machines. Rhea sent the files directly to Earth Command. Then she looked at her second-in-command, LT Malik. "They broke the treaty," she said. "What now?" Malik asked. "Now," she said, "we break everything else." She gave the order, "Activate Dead Silence Protocol." Across the solar system, Earth's secret fleets woke up. No lights, no signals. Just silent movement. They were called the Ghost Armado ships, designed for war. Invisible to scans, deadly in silence. Meanwhile, on a Council-controlled planet, a human trader arrived at a small spaceport. He wore a fake smile and carried a simple case, but the case wasn't full of goods. It had something else. A memory cord with every hidden crime the Council committed against humans. He handed it to a trusted contact. A low-level alien technician, tired of the lies, the trader whispered, "Release it when the sky turns red." And then he vanished. Back on Earth, people lived normal lives. Children went to school. Music played in cafes. Skies were blue, but beneath every major city, bunkers were filling with food, water, and people. The media didn't know. The public didn't panic, but those in power knew. War was coming. President Hale stood before a private audience of global leaders. "They thought we forgot the past," he said. "They thought we grew soft. But we never stopped watching, never stopped building. Now we face the truth. The treaty was never peace. It was poison." The room was silent. He continued, "We will not ask for justice. We will take it." In deep space, 3 Council fleets practiced drills. Suddenly, one ship received a strange signal. A human voice played through their comms, "You had your chance." Before they could react, their screens turned black. Moments later, the ship's engines exploded from inside, sabotaged by human code. Planted years ago, the rest of the fleet tried to respond, but their weapons wouldn't fire. Their controls locked. Then came the final message, broadcast across nearby systems. "This is Earth. You broke the deal. We are coming." Across the galaxy, species began to panic. Some laughed, saying humans were too weak. Others remembered Earth's old wars. They remembered the burning moons, the star bases that vanished without a trace, the rumors of a fleet that never died. One alien leader whispered in fear, "If the humans are serious, we're all in trouble." In a dark control room deep under Mars, General Voss watched red dots appear across the galactic map. Targets locked, fleets moving, weapons online. He smiled for the first time in 20 years. "Before the storm, there is silence," he said. "Let them enjoy it." The council chamber was busy and loud. Alien voices filled the air. Some spoke of trade, others laughed about politics. News screens showed humans shaking hands at the recent treaty event, they thought. Earth was calm. They thought humans were quiet. They were wrong. Far away, near the edge of council space, a silent ship drifted through the dark. It had no lights, no name, and no signal. But it wasn't lost. It was watching, inside the ship. Two humans sat in front of glowing blue screens. Their faces were hard, their voices low. One of them, Agent Kyra, stared at the display. Council warship detected. Trinzel class, loaded with weapons. Heading to Sector 9, the other agent, Holt, checked the time. Dropped the message. Kyra pressed a button. Outside the council ship, a small black drone appeared out of nowhere. It looked like a piece of metal trash floating in space, but it wasn't. It flew close, then sent a signal into the enemy ship. On the bridge of the Trinkle warship, alarms suddenly blared. Lights turned red. Screens went black. Then, a voice played through every speaker on board. "You lied? We remember. Earth is coming." 1 second later, the drone exploded. It didn't damage the ship, but it left something behind, a burning mark across the outer hull. The mark glowed in red and white, a symbol, the old flag of Earth. Back on the capital world of the Council, leaders gathered in panic. "What does it mean?" one alien asked. "Is this some kind of joke?" Another said, but one old council member, High Speaker Zorvan, looked pale. "It's not a joke," he said. "It's that symbol. Hasn't been seen in 50 years. The humans have returned to war colors." At the same time, across the galaxy, messages began to appear in strange places. On billboards, in spaceports, inside news networks, even carved into stone walls on distant colonies. "We see everything. You said it was peace. You made it war. Now you'll hear from Earth." Some aliens thought it was just human drama, but the smart ones started to run. On a council-controlled planet called Varades, the skies were blue and calm. Then, one morning, a citywide broadcast interrupted all screens. It showed video footage, real footage, of human colonies locked in cages, of alien scientists testing weapons on children, of dead bodies lying in cold metal rooms. The crowd watching the screens began to scream. A voice followed. "This is what your leaders did. This is what they hid. This is what we found." The message ended with only one sentence. Earth does not forget. Earth does not forgive. In the Galactic Council's emergency room, chaos broke out. Who leaked the files? How did they get into our networks? We control the media. But the truth was clear. They didn't control Earth anymore. Back on Earth, President Hale stood in front of a secret war board. Red dots marked the Council's military bases. Green dots marked Earth's hidden fleets. "Send the warning to every system," he said. "Let them know this is not a war. This is a correction." Captain Ria's ship, Black Echo, jumped into orbit near a quiet council moon. It was peaceful, unprotected. A perfect message. Target. Ria sent a pulse beam into the moon's surface. It didn't explode, carved. Within minutes, satellites caught the image, a giant mark across the moon's face. In human language, peace requires truth. You gave us lies. Suddenly, the council began losing allies. One alien race, the Serari, made an announcement. "We will no longer support the council. We did not know what was done to the humans. We want no part in this." Other species began to ask questions. Some started removing their troops from council fleets. Some even reached out to Earth asking for forgiveness. But Earth gave no reply. Only silence. In deep space. 3 council ships floated near a mining colony. Suddenly one of their engines exploded. Then another. Then the third ship just vanished. No attack was seen. No warning was given. Just before the ship vanished, a final transmission was recorded. A single voice whispered, "You had your chance." Back at the council chamber, a younger leader shouted, "What do they want? We can give money, land, apology." But Zorvan shook his head slowly. It's too late, he said. They gave peace. We gave death now. They give truth. Through fire. The stars were quiet, too quiet. Trade ships stopped moving. Council patrols stayed near home planets. Mining operations shut down. Everyone waited. But Earth. Earth was moving in the shadows of Jupiter's storms. A fleet of human ships gathered. They came from all directions, hidden bases, dark space, and cold moons. They didn't send signals. They didn't ask for permission. They were preparing for something big. Operation Skyhammer had begun. At the front of the fleet, the flagship HSS Vengeance powered up. It had no windows, just armor, guns, and a glowing red core. Inside, Admiral Neela Voss stood in front of her crew. Her voice was strong and cold. No speeches. No regrets. At the time for peace is over. We march now. We don't stop until. The stars know what they did. Quiet voice replied, "Yes, Admiral." And the fleet started to move. Across the galaxy, small human strike teams were already working. On a desert moon, Team Eco 7 placed EMP charges under a council fuel depot. They left silently. No blood, no noise. 3 hours later, the depot exploded. Into a fireball so large it could be seen from orbit, a message was painted in fire across the ground. This is for Colony Vega, never forgotten. In council space, fear was spreading fast. Merchant ships were afraid to launch. Council meetings were filled with shouting. Where are their fleets coming from? How did they hide all this? Why didn't we see it before? It was too late for questions. The march had already started. On Earth, the skies were busy. Ships left every hour. Massive carriers, sleek destroyers, drone swarms. Cities cheered as they flew above. Not because they loved war, but because they finally had a reason. They had been quiet for 50 years. They built, they trained, and they waited. Now the gloves were off. President Hale watched from a command tower. He wanted us to kneel, he said. We're going to make them crawl. Deep inside a council research station, an alarm sounded. Security. Bots rushed to a locked room, too late. All the scientists were gone. On the wall, someone had written in human blood, "This is what your peace looks like." The recording of that message spread across alien networks within hours. Entire species began to question their place in the council. Some began to switch sides in a hidden meeting. A small alien alliance contacted Earth. They spoke to a human AI, not a person. The AI said only one thing. You help them hurt us. Stay out of the way, or be treated the same. The message ended with a list names of council officials, warlords, and scientists. Each name had a red mark beside it, targets. Meanwhile, on the moons of Echelar Prime, a council defense fleet detected movement. Unknown ships. No signals. Life signs. Then they saw the symbol, a black flag with a white circle and a blood-red line, the Ghost Armada. The defenders prepared for battle, but the humans didn't come to fight. Not yet. They passed by slowly. Thousands of ships. Silently watching, then they disappeared into hyperspace. It was a warning, and it worked half. The defenders abandoned their posts the next day. Back at the human high command on Mars, reports came in fast. Council fuel lines cut. Weapons. Depots down. Alien support weakening. Admiral Voss looked at the star map. Red lines stretched across the screen. Earth's fleets moving like blades through the dark. We're not just marching, she said. We're surrounding them. The council's war chamber. Panic had turned to silence. They finally understood. The treaty had never been peace. It was time bought. Time. Earth used to become something else. Something. Smarter, stronger, and very, very angry. One leader said in a whisper, "They are not just coming to fight. They are coming to end us." The council believed they were safe. Their core worlds were protected by defense rings, shield domes, and fleets of heavy cruisers. For 50 years. They built walls of power, walls made of technology, walls made of fear, but Earth didn't come to play by their rules. They came to break them. At the edge of Sector V9, the Council Fortress World Drashual was on full alert. Its skies were filled with defense satellites, planetary cannons aimed toward space. Thousands of troops waited in armored bunkers. General Vacker, large insectoid alien, stood tall in the command center. "Let them come," he said. "Let them die on our walls." In deep space, beyond sensor range, Shadow moved. It wasn't one ship. It was many. The Phantom Fleet had arrived. Their hulls were coated in light-bending tech. Their engines made no sound. They moved like ghosts through the void inside the lead ship. Captain Rhea stared at her mission screen. Her eyes were cold. "Targets locked," she said. The first strike wasn't loud. It wasn't a blast. It was a whisper. "Earth, say I." Unit sent a virus into the Dradual system, a digital ghost that passed through firewalls and encryption like paper. Suddenly, the lights on the fortress dimmed. Then the shields flickered. Then, silence. All the guns stopped responding. One of the alien technicians screamed, "We've lost control. Every turret is offline." General Vacker shouted, "How? This is impossible." It was human design, built in secret, tested. In silence, now unleashed. And then the real attack began. From the black sky, hundreds of human warships dropped from hyperspace. No warning. No mercy. Missiles cut through towers like butter. Drones flew into bunkers and detonated from inside. Heavy. Tanks melted under sonic blasts. The alien defenders tried to fight, but their weapons were dead. Their shields were gone. Their systems were blind in the chaos. A final message came through every speaker on the planet, a human voice, calm, cold, unstoppable. "Your walls were built to trap us, to keep us weak. But you forgot one thing: we don't break through. Walls, we erase them." From orbit, the fortress city began to collapse. Not because of bombs, but because the very core systems shut down. Power grids exploded from inside. Communication towers melted. It was like the planet itself gave up. Hours later, when the dust settled, only silence remained. What once was a proud military base was now just ruins and shadows. Across the galaxy, news spread like fire. The humans took Dradual in under 2 hours. The walls did nothing. The Council defenses failed completely. Aliens who once laughed at Earth now trembled. Governors locked their palaces. Colonies tried to raise white flags. But Earth wasn't asking for surrender. They were delivering judgment. Inside the council chamber, panic turned into shouting. "Must strike Earth directly. We must build better defenses." But High Speaker Zorvan stood quietly. His old hands shook. "You fools," he whispered. "They already planned for that. We let them grow while we watched. This is not just a war anymore. This is payback." Meanwhile, far from the noise, Captain Rhea sat alone in her quarters. She looked at an old photo of her family, gone in the council raids long ago. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She only said one thing. That was for them. And so Earth moved again. Not with anger, not with hate, but with cold. Clear purpose. The galaxy thought their walls would hold. They were wrong, because walls mean nothing to ghosts. And humanity had become the ghost in the system. The galaxy had. Changed worlds that once laughed at Earth now spoke in whispers. Council generals, who once gave orders, now stayed silent. Every time they thought the humans were done, another planet went dark. Another fleet vanished. Another message appeared, cold, sharp, and final. This is the cost of lies. On the council homeworld, leaders gathered in panic. The war rooms were full of shouting. "We must surrender. We can offer resources, technology. Someone contact Earth." But Earth said nothing. No reply, just more ships. Moving forward, President Hale sat quietly inside Earth's Deep Space Command base. Admirals and eyes gave reports. 17 council worlds are offline. Their fleet has gone dark. Multiple species are asking to leave the council. Hale stood and spoke just once. "They lied to the universe. Let them speak the truth before we listen." On the planet Narkle, a peaceful farming world, The people woke up to find council soldiers leaving. They dropped their weapons and ran. Then, for the first time, humans landed, not with bombs, but with food, medicine, and shelter. An alien child walked up to a human soldier and asked, "Are you going to hurt us?" The soldier knelt and answered, "We're not here to hurt the innocent. We're here to stop the ones who did." The message was clear. Humanity was not just angry, they were fair. But justice had a price, and the council had not paid it. Yet in the hidden system of Vorex, 5 council leaders held a secret meeting. They were afraid of being next one of them. Lady Tyrax sent a message directly to Earth. It said, "We were not part of the experiments. We were told it was for peace. We had no idea what was being done to your people." The reply came within seconds. No voice, just text. "You stood in silence. That is enough. Prepare to face judgment." On another council world, banners of surrender were raised. A massive speech was broadcast galaxy-wide. High Speaker Zorvan stepped onto the stage. His voice was tired, old, broken, to the people of Earth. "We lied. We covered up your pain, your loss, your truth, and now we see what you became because of us. We ask, with what honor we have left, please stop." For 1 full hour, there was silence. No human ships moved. No strikes were made. Then a signal arrived. Live transmission. Across every screen in the galaxy, President Hale's face appeared. His voice was calm, controlled, deadly. "You ask for peace. But peace was offered long ago. You broke it. You ask us to stop. But the truth hasn't finished speaking. You gave us pain. Now we give you understanding. Peace will come. But only after the last lie falls. We are not here to destroy you. We are here to make sure you never forget us again." Then the screen went dark. The council chamber sat in silence. Some cried, some collapsed, some finally understood. This was not just war. This was memory with teeth. This was truth with fire in the dark of space. Earth's fleets kept moving, not wild, not careless, but planned, controlled, inevitable, like a storm that could no longer be stopped, and in every system they entered. Same words appeared. This is not revenge. This is what justice sounds like when no one listens. The council had begged. They had dropped their pride, raised their hands, asked for peace. But Earth didn't answer with words. They answered with movement ships. Kept launching. Fleets kept growing. New systems were targeted. And the stars kept shaking because Earth didn't stop. Across the galaxy, people watched in fear. Why are the humans still coming? They already won.
What more do they want?
They didn't understand. This wasn't about war anymore. It was about truth. Truth buried under years of silence. Truth the council had burned, erased. And hidden now, Earth was going to dig it up even if they had to rip apart the sky to do it. In the shadow of a dead star, the Black Fang station tried to hide. It was a secret council facility unknown to most. Place where terrible things had happened. Experiments, torture, human prisoners, used like test animals. Everyone believed the station was gone, but Earth found it. They always found it. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace. They didn't fire. They just surrounded the station. Then they sent one message: open the doors, or we will. The council guards inside tried to run, but it was too late. The station's own AI had already switched sides. It unlocked every door. Security collapsed and Earth walked inside. What they found broke even the hardest soldiers. Rooms with old human text, stolen and twisted, cryo-pods, filled with bodies, some still alive. Walls scratched with words. We were peaceful. We believed in the treaty. Why? Captain Rhea stood in silence, her fists clenched. Burn it all, she said. Not a single wire survives. The whole station was vaporized. Not out of hate, out of mercy, back on Earth. President Hale watched the data come in, one by one. Council secrets were revealed. Hidden labs, mass graves, ships full of stolen children, and with each truth uncovered. Another lie died. But Earth still didn't stop, because the pain ran deep, and there was one more place left to go. The Council Core. The heart of it all. The place where the orders were given, where the treaty was signed. And broken. The humans didn't send threats they didn't ask for. Meetings, they simply set a course, and every fleet followed. Inside the council hall, the last leaders gathered. Some wanted to fight, some wanted to flee, but one of them, High Speaker Zorvan, stood up and spoke. They are coming, not for revenge, but because they want the universe to know. This is what happens when you lie to Earth. No one argued, no one laughed. They just waited. As the human ships approached. On the lead vessel, Admiral Voss stood beside a giant hologram of the planet. She pointed at the capital. We don't need to destroy them. We just need to wake them up. Her command was simple. Begin final phase. And then, without a single missile, without a single bomb, Earth hacked into the planet's entire broadcast system. And showed the galaxy everything. The labs, the tortures, the broken promises, and the voice of a dying child, whispering. Why did they lie? For 2 full hours, no one looked away. Because this wasn't a war now. This was a mirror, and the galaxy saw itself ugly, cruel, and silent. Earth didn't destroy the Council. They did something worse. They made everyone remember. And then, quietly, without a sound, the fleets turned away. Mission complete, justice delivered. But peace, not yet. Because even after all that, Earth still didn't stop. The war was over. But the silence that followed was louder than any weapon. Earth had not destroyed the councils. Capital, they hadn't needed to. The truth had done that for them. The images. The voices, the broken promises all shown to every world, every species, and now. No one could forget, on the council homeworld, once great government collapsed. Flags were taken down. Statues were pulled apart by angry crowds. Not humans, aliens. They had seen what their leaders did, and they would no longer obey. 1 week later, Earth sent one final message. It was not a threat, not a demand. It was just words. We are not your enemies. We are not your victims either. We were peaceful. You made us soldiers. We were honest. You made us ghosts. Now, we are something new. Across the stars, governments fell. New leaders rose. Old powers were questioned. A new alliance began to form, not led by Earth, but shaped by what Earth had done. No more lies, no more hidden labs, no more using the weak and calling it peace. In a small village on a desert world, an alien child played with a human toy. A soldier walked by and asked, "Where did you get that?" The child smiled. "My dad said humans are scary, but I think they saved us." The soldier said nothing, just nodded, and kept walking. Meanwhile on Earth, President Hale watched from the top of a quiet mountain. There were no parades, no fireworks, just peace, but not the kind the council had forced. This peace was earned, with fire, with truth, with pain. Captain Rhea stood in a garden near the old launch fields. She placed a single medal on a stone. No words, no camera, just memory. "We didn't ask for this war," she whispered. "But we finished it." In the years that followed, humanity changed again. Not into conquerors, not into rulers, but into watchers, guardians of the line. Between peace and control, they built a station at the center of the galaxy. Not as a weapon, but as a reminder. Its name, Truth Keeper, and written across its front in every known language. The treaty was a lie, but we are not. The galaxy would never be the same, because the myth of weak humanity was gone. Now every species knew. Earth listens, Earth waits. But if you lie, if you betray, if you forget, Earth remembers, and that memory, that was stronger than any warship, the end.